Welcome back. We're at Station 3, Kicker Unmasked 2020. Now, we just talked a lot about marine products with John Myers. Awesome products to put in your boat, your Jeep, your whatever you're driving that's going to get dirty and muddy. Now, Ken Bundy is going to talk to us about installation components for marine products. If you've got a nice amplifier, you need some nice installation components. Now, oftentimes you'll hear these referred to as accessories, but in reality, they're not accessories because you have to have power cables, signal cables, distribution blocks. So here to talk more about that is Mr. Ken Bundy. Ken, drop some science.
Will do. Thank you very much, Aaron. So exactly like Aaron said, we like to call these installation components rather than accessories because they're not really optional. You have to have these in order to guarantee the best performance out of that amplifier you just paid all that money for. So John just talked about all our marine amplifiers and all of our marine speakers. So to go along with that, we have a whole line of marine installation components, and I'm going to walk you through all of that. We're going to start with our full wiring kits. So these are marine grade wiring kits. They're going to come in both 8 gauge and a 4 gauge, and they're going to include 20 foot of power wire along with 20 foot of ground wire. And you may be thinking, Ken, why do I need 20 foot of ground wire in my amplifier wiring kit? Well, think about it. On a boat, you have a fiberglass hull instead of a steel body in a vehicle, right? You can't ground your amplifier to the steel body like you can in a car. So you need 20 foot of power wire to run all the way from the battery in the boat out to wherever that amplifier is, and then 20 foot of ground wire to run from that amplifier all the way back to the battery. So we're going to give you 20 foot of each. And additionally, you'll see it's 20 foot of red power wire and 20 foot of yellow ground wire. Ken, yellow ground wire, that's kind of strange. We've never really heard of that before. Why did you guys choose to use those colors? Well, just like John may have mentioned over there, we are compliant with the American Boat and Yacht Council as well as NMMA. Those are some marine certifications that dictate those particular colors. So if somebody needs to hop on your boat and disconnect it, maybe you have an electrical fire or something, they can just look at the color of the wire and then know what type of wire that is. Oh, that's a red wire, I know it's power wire, I'm going to disconnect here, or whatever it might need to be. So we use those colors because we're compliant with those organizations. In addition, in the amplifier wiring kit, you're also going to get a new battery terminal. I'll show you guys that up close. I do have one separate. This is going to be our MRBF fuse holder. So this fuse holder is going to attach directly to the battery. So this eye hole right here is going to mount directly on top of the battery. We'll pop this cap off and spin this nut off, and you're going to install our new MRBF fuse. So this is a completely sealed fuse. This fuse is completely sealed from the environment. So if this fuse pops, you don't have any worries of it igniting some flammable gases. Maybe you have this installed in the engine compartment of your boat or something along those lines. So if the fuse pops, you don't have a fire on your boat, of course, so that's a necessity. That fuse just slides right over top of the stud there, and then you mount your ring terminal from your main power wire to the amplifiers. That ring terminal then slides over top of that, and then obviously the nut goes on top to tighten everything up. So these MRBF fuses are going to come from a 60 amp size all the way up to 300. So no matter what system you have in your boat, we have a fuse to suit your needs. Next up is going to be our RCA cables, marine RCA cables. Ken, you just pulling my chain here? What makes these marine RCA cables different from your car audio RCA cables? Well, if you look very closely, you can see that the molding is actually molded all the way up to the end of the barrel of the RCA. So when you install that RCA cable into the end panel of your amplifier, it's then sealed from the environment. You don't have to worry about water intrusion causing corrosion and things like that. So marine RCA cables are available in a variety of lengths. Next up is going to be our distribution blocks. And first and foremost, you can see that we did follow the red and yellow color scheme. They are two different ones, the ground and power distribution block. I'll walk you through the power one here real quick. So when you have your main power wire comes in from the battery, it's going to come into one of these 3 locations here. These little windows, you can actually snap them off depending on which side you need to run your power wire into. So you snap off the little plastic window, the power wire with the ring terminal would then mount to this post here, and then you see that it's electrically connected to all the other posts here, these 3 other studs. So then you would undo the nut, you'd pop on the new MRBF fuse, and then run your wire out to whichever side you need. So you'd pop off the window on this side or pop off the window on this side. Your power wire could then connect to that and then run out to your amplifier. So maybe you want a 60 amp fuse here to run to your 4 channel on your boat, maybe a 100 amp fuse here to then run to that more powerful sub amp. Whatever configuration you want, we got it for you. So if you step away from the marine world for a little bit, Kicker does have a whole new line of car audio installation kits, and that's going to be our new VK kits. We have a VK 8 gauge and a VK 6 gauge kit. They're going to give you 16.5 foot of power wire, along with 2.5 foot of ground wire and a twisted pair RCA cable. So one thing I wanted to specify, whether we're talking the Marine series or the new VK series, or even the CK wiring kits that you're already familiar with, all of Kicker's wire is full OFC, full oxygen-free copper. We do not use copper-clad aluminum under our roof. Second of all, they're all full AWG, so they're going to be full-gauge, true-spec wires. Now, any wiring kit you buy, again, whether it's the Marine, the VK, or CK kit, if you install, you use a Kicker installation component kit along with your new Kicker amplifier, you're going to extend the warranty of that amplifier by an additional year. So you get an additional year warranty just by using the proper wire. Aaron, looks like he's got some questions for me, so what do you got?
First question is, on the VK kits, can those be used in a Marine install?
Sure, if you wanted to. So all of Kicker's wire is compliant with Marine. So, you know, they are tin to nickel. They're the proper insulation up to the proper temperature as well. But the downside, of course, is it's only 2.5 foot of ground wire. So your amplifier does have to be very close to the battery if you choose to use like the VK kit in a Marine installation, an application. However, I do recommend you do buy the MRBF fuse holder instead of using the fuse holder that's in the VK kit.
Before I get to the next question, I'm going to let the audience know that before Ken was a world-class trainer.
World-class, thank you very much, Aaron.
You are. He worked in our research and development department, and this was part of what he worked on with these accessory kits, these installation components. So he is the right man for this next question. What is AWG and why do we care?
Sure, thank you. So AWG stands for American Wire Gauge. It's a spec that measures how much actual copper, how much metal is inside the installation sleeve. So it's measured in a term called circular mils. We do have some competitors out there that choose to undersize the amount of metal inside their wire and then they oversize the installation on the outside. So if you just look at the piece of wire, it looks like 4 gauge or it may look like 8 gauge, but when you strip the insulation away to actually use the wire, you see there's not as much metal in there as there really should be. That's nothing you have to worry about with any of Kicker's power kits.
One more question for the Marine kits. ABYC, we talk a lot about that. Why is that important in wire again?
So we are compliant with those particular organizations because we partner with a lot of OEM boat builders. So these OEM boat builders are building new watercraft and they choose to use Kicker Marine installation components and all of our audio gear in their boats because we're compliant with all those organizations.
Can you tell us again, if you use an Kicker amp kit with a Kicker amp, what does that do for the warranty?
Extra 1 year.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Extra 1 year warranty. That's because we're confident you hook it up properly, it's going to work proper.
Right.
Let's do a demo. We've got this great demonstration here, and what Ken's going to show you is the difference between the Kicker wire and the not Kicker wire.
Exactly. So let me walk you through how this works here. On the left side here, we have 20 foot of 8 gauge copper-clad aluminum wire. So we do have some manufacturers out there that choose to use aluminum in their wire instead of copper. They do it because it saves cost. However, aluminum doesn't conduct electricity nearly as well as copper does. So we're going to show you the difference between copper and aluminum wire here. 20 foot of 8 gauge copper-clad aluminum wire on the left. 20 foot of 8 gauge OFC Kicker wire, full copper Kicker wire there on the right, and they're both going to be powering the Kicker KXA 400.1 that's designed to put out 400 watts. So these displays is what we're going to be watching though. This readout right here is going to be voltage at the battery. So you guys can think of this as like the voltage at your car battery under the hood. This is going to be voltage at the amplifier. So how much voltage did we lose on that 20-foot power run to the amplifier? And then this is probably what everybody cares about, right? Is how much power am I getting out of that amplifier, out of that KXA 400.1? We should get 400 watts. But how much power am I really getting out? So let's try this out. Let's do the copper-clad aluminum wire first. And this amp will power up. 13.45 volts at the battery, but we've lost well over 2 volts on that 20-foot run to the amplifier. We've lost over 2 volts just on that wire run, and our power output is suffering. 369 watts out of that KXA 400 watt amplifier. So that's not all that great. Let's try the Kicker wire instead. And the amp powers up. 13.4 volts at the battery. Now you can see we've lost well under 1 volt on that same 20-foot run. and we're getting 464 watts out of that 400 watt amplifier. So we've gained almost 25% power just by using the proper wire.
So the takeaway is quite simple. You buy quality amplifiers and speakers, buy quality installation components.
Exactly, exactly.
Thank you, Ken. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron.
Kip, we are finished up here on Station 3. We want to go to Station 4.